With a rollicking song he sweeps along, swaggering boisterously. His face is weather-beaten. He wears a hooded sash, with a silver hat about his head, and a bristling black mustache. He growls as he storms the country, a villain big and bold. And the trees all shake and quiver and quake as he robs them of their gold. The autumn wind is a raider, pillaging just for fun. He'll knock you round and upside down and laugh when he's conquered and won.
Hey boys, slight technical hitch there. I'm trying out some new software today. Again, we're going from technological advancement to technological advancement. Hope you like it. Okay, I can sort that out in a minute. So, we've got a good show lined up for you, I think. Unfortunately, I'm flying solo. Alright, just queuing up that for the next time. I have to fly solo tonight. Stop with the fit twitching of the face. We had a guest lined up. Stuart Donaldson from the Cork Admirals posted I posted the podcast on their page last week and asked would be anybody interested. So he replied straight away. Unfortunately, he can't make it tonight. And my usual co-host, Queeve, also is unable to make the show tonight. Which is a bummer. I know that I've done the first couple on my own, but once you get used to doing it with somebody else, it's just a better buzz and there's a bit of crack, you know. So, and to be honest with you, I was at a funeral today. A good friend of mine passed away tragically, and I have a wedding coming up on Friday. So I'm just a bit time constricted. So Queeve could probably come down tomorrow, but look, bygones be bygones. That's the way it goes, and hopefully Stuart from the Cork Admirals can make it down sometime next week. So, the one silver cloud was big shout out there today to Gary Murphy, Professor of Science up in Dublin City, of Political Science up in Dublin City University. Huge NFL fan, a beleaguered Lions fan, aren't they all, says you. So we were rabbiting away there at the lunch after the funeral about this and that, and yeah, hopefully so thumbs up to you there, Gar, and hopefully we won't bore you too much with our own league news. We'll go on to a small bit of NFL news then later on. Just as I said, it's going to be just a slightly different flavour of the show this as I'm on my own, and I'm a small bit down after the funeral and all that. But sure, okay, what are we going to next? So without further ado, we'll just have a look at... Hope you like the changes this week, boys. We're going to have a look at the results from last week. So I had a close old match up there with Decky. Brady's a cheat. To preface this whole thing, I did a good trade with Dean last week, Champagne Fever. Excuse me. He had problems at running back. I had Giovanni Bernard from the Bengals. He was sitting on my bench, and I was thinking about putting him into the flex, but I have a few other options there as well. He put out a cry for help for running back, and we came to an arrangement. I traded him the Lions tight end who I picked up during the week as well. There was no Kobe. I got rid of the Lions Ebron. I picked up Kobe Fleener. So I gave him Kobe Fleener, the Colts tight end, and Giovanni Bernard running back, for Tyler Eifert, the Bengals tight end, who's having a very good last few weeks. And I took a bit of a runner on Deshaun Jackson of Washington, wide receiver, who's injured at the moment, but he's going to come back at some stage. But I made a bit of a boo-boo. I played Kobe Fleener. I didn't take him out, so therefore the whole trade was put on hold for a few days. I lost the match up to Decky by 10 points. Philip Rivers couldn't do it on the last night. And basically, if I put in Tyler Eifert, he had 20 points. And the other flying the ointment for me is Amir Abdullah, the Lions rookie running back, stroke third one back. He started the season off well, but like the Lions, their season is in turmoil as usual. And I should have sat him as well. And Right, Ryan Matthews had a couple of points, and whoever else I could have put a dog in there. He would have had more points than Abdullah. So look, lesson learned. Sometimes you get caught up in everything else that's going on. You don't actually look after your own fantasy team, but that's the way of the world. Okay, next game down. Bucking Pats back in the winning trail, and Chris Duff's Broncos is having a mare. Chops overcame Polly's. Very tight game there as well. Point Lodgers eventually put an end to Pats for Lombardi's winning run, and it's funny enough, Queeve has won a few games there with basically the second last or third worst score every week, and then he started bitching when he eventually gets beaten that his score would have won most other games. But you swings and roundabouts, Queeve, get used to it. Nasib Erection back on winning ways. Fox's Army just still the 1W, and Lucky Jimmy ground out a win against Dino. So Lucky Jimmy's goes on to 2. So just have a quick look at the table there. So at the top, Point Lodgers, Bucking Pats, and Pats for Lombardi all 4-1. And in the other 3 playoff places at the moment, on 3-2, Champagne Fever, Nasib, Brady's a cheat, and then there's a big plethora of us on 2 and 3, myself included, and then the just the 1 winners at the moment: Polly's, Fox's Army, and Duff's Broncos. So there's still not a lot of separation in the league, lad. And it's coming up to week 6 now. So this week's games are: I'm playing a Nasib. Lucky Jimmy's up against Pats for. I'll actually, I'll have a quick go into the game center here, and we have a quick preview of what's up. So I'm up against Nasib, 2 and 3. I'm projected for 113. Nasib is projected, as you see there, for 100. All well and good. I'll just quickly mention this week's bye. So the Raiders are on bye. Tampa Bay Bucks are on bye. The Rams and the Dallas Cowboys are on bye. So lads, if you have got any of those guys in your teams, get them out. So I'm going to actually just go down through these quickly. Lucky Jimmy's up against Pats for. Lucky Jimmy is projected to lose. We'll see. I'll just have a quick look at these teams here and see anybody interesting playing. The usual roll up here. Jimmy is still going with Peyton Manning. Mariota is going from strength to strength, but that's his own thingy. Percy Harvin and Todd Gurley has really come out of his skin. I think Andre Ellington is back in, but it's hard to see. What's his name? Chris Johnson is having a huge resurgent season with the Cardinals. So will Andre Ellington be getting the ball? Question marks. Odell Beckham seems to be coming out of his shell. He's kind of a lot of second season syndrome. And Chicago are up against Detroit. The battle. Well, you would have thought it was a basement battle. Chicago, after putting 2 games together. Detroit, if they can't win against Chicago, there's major question marks. They Lions really went to pieces last week, but we'll get on to the all the NFL results later on. Next matchup, we have Polly's against Champagne Fever, and it's a bit of a basement battlefield about this. Lads are both. Dino's on 3-2. Sorry, yeah, he's actually after winning 1 there. Polly needs to start winning a few games, or he's going to be in trouble. Patrick's team, the Point Lodgers, the auto draftees. Patrick's scoring very well. I wouldn't be surprised actually if he was the top scorer so far. Obviously, he's got a few nice guys there, the Gronk and stuff. But who else has he got on his team there? Now, just have a quick look at Patrick's team. So Andy Dalton, the Bengals are having very good, as I do. Our aforementioned Chris Johnson. Devontae Freeman is having a monster week in, week out, and it doesn't look like stopping this week, I would say. Kendall Wright, DeAndre Hopkins, Gronk, Rashid Jennings, like there's no big sticky outies there either, like, but Andy Dalton is doing the business from Chris Johnson and Devontae Freeman. You know, if you can get your couple of running backs and a couple of wide receivers just banging away a few points, it's an easy game then, like, you know. And he's up with Duff, Tyrod Taylor, could be an injury thingy there. Deshaun Jackson, yeah, he just, as the Ladbroke said, like a lot of his team, they just seem to be in and out. Nah, he's not firing at all, and it's a frustrating old game when things don't start going your way. Like, so Fox's Army up against Chopper Bears. I'd say this is definitely a bottom of the table clash. Fox's Army's up for 115 against 103 for Choppers, and they are Chops is 2-3. Fox is 4-1. So Fox would want to be winning this as well, just to kind of keep his nose in. Russell Wilson's having a mare of a season. This Seattle were very disappointing against the Bengals there last weekend. We'll get to that again in a minute. Just quickly run through the rest of the games here. And last but by no means, Bucking Pats against Brady is a cheat. Decky, as I said, he had a nice win against me last week, aided by a huge... I think he was a top fantasy point scorer, Doug Martin, the old hamster boy, the running back with the Tampa Bay Bucks. He had 33 points, which, you know, you could hang a win off that any day, no problem. And Bucking Pats are going along nicely as well. Okay, next thing, I will go back to the league. I'll just kind of a quick look at who has been active on the waiver wire market. And see if there's any notables. So Polly's push over. That's interesting. No, he's picked up Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback with the Jets, and he's dropped Sam Bradford, Philadelphia. Philadelphia had their first win last weekend, but not really doing much. Queeve, Pats Fords after picking up Blake Bortles, QB. I don't know what. Dropped James Stark. He picked up Starks there after Eddie Lacy. It was an injury scare, but Eddie Lacy seems to be up and running. Just an old defensive back there. Not much there. And Pat's for he picked up the Jets. So Decky dropped them because they were on bye last week, and he dropped the New York Lions. The Detroit Lions, as you would. And the only other thing that I was interested that I saw, Polly, excuse me, dropped the Seabass. He picked up Seabass, the former first round pick for the Raiders. He missed 2 kicks. I was actually watched a good bit of the game and highlights on the red zone in Pine Lodge after the rugby, and the rugby was a great result. So we had the big screen up and running, and feasted ourselves on American football for the next few hours as well. I didn't bother going in watching the soccer team against Poland. Well, that was a disaster. Enough said about that, the better. And Duff is cute enough. Picked up Niall Davis. I was actually in for Niall Davis myself, but he was higher up in the waiver wire to get that one. So Niall Davis should be getting a lot of carries now, seeing that Jamal Charles has done his ACL. Basically, his knee's buggered. He's going to be out for the rest of the season. So that's a nice little pick up there for Duffers. Okay, moving on. What will we talk about yet? Cruise report. Okay, because Queeve is not here this week, there's going to be no cruise report. So I'm going to just go on to, we'll just talk a bit about the NFL, what happened last week in their games. So here we go. Oh, that was this week's schedule. I'll just look over last week's results there. Any of the games. Yeah, first night Houston. I actually don't know now who's winning in the picks. I'll try and get a pick segment done with Queeve. As I said, he's up the walls doing his tax returns. So, and I pleaded him to come down, but he said no, he can't do it. I said, all right, fair enough. So we'll try and do a pick section ourselves later on. Rams gave the Packers a good old going, but the Packers did actually manage to beat the spread. I know I lost that one. And a lot of lads were very gung-ho about Buffalo beating the Titans. I've been singing Mariota's praises all season. So that was a very close game. Bills lucky enough to get over there. Tyrod Taylor came out, and this is one of the big shocks. The Browns beat the Ravens, the hapless Ravens. And the Browns, what's his name? Josh McCown had a huge game. I think he's something like 450 odd yards. So the Browns, interesting. The basement battle here. Two enough bad teams, Jaguars and the Bucks. And the Bucks came out victorious, a very high scoring game. Skins and the Falcons. I said saying to Decky on Facebook there this morning, probably the two biggest surprise packets. And I would say the Jets as well this year so far. The Skins, they were meant to be absolutely abysmal on the back of RG3 not being played. Well, I think RG3 was probably one of the big reasons. And the Falcons seem to be completely transformed by Dan Quinn coming from Seattle Seahawks. And they look like a mighty, mighty machine. They're going to the Saints this week. We'll get onto that in a minute. Seahawks. This was an acid test for the Bengals. They were, I think, was it 17 points down or 14 points down in the fourth quarter, and all of a sudden the Seattle offense started spluttering, got nothing going in the fourth quarter, and coughed up a load of points, and Cincinnati took it away from them. So worrying signs for Seattle. Game, it's do or die. I know at this stage. There was another poor game. The Bears against the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Bears won it with a late field goal. Chiefs, as I said earlier on, lost Jamal Charles, and there's some of their parts. They should be better than what they are, but Andy Reid makes some dodgy play calls sometimes. Too conservative. Alex Smith's not getting the job done. Too many dinky passes. Nobody's going deep. And Macklin should be a good pickup for him, all right, but there's something's just not quite firing for the Kansas City Chiefs and all. The next team that's not firing at all is the Saints. Excuse me. And the Eagles. This was, I think, the breakout game for the Eagles this season. No, can they keep it going? Who knows? DeMarco Murray had a big game. Ryan Matthews scored about nine points as well. Excuse me, lads. I just to get rid of that there. Cardinals made complete SH1T of the Lions. It was quite disconcerting to watch. Stafford was sat down in the third quarter, fourth quarter, and at one stage, like, they were down 20-25 points out, I think, on a fourth and short, and they kicked the ball. Like, I mean, what's Caldwell thinking about? Would at least just try and air out the ball or something, or just try something to get the down? No, yeah, just hand over the ball, punt it back down the field. And the Cardinals are too wily for that. Like, they're just banging up the points, no hassle. Next, as foreseen, Patriots had an easy game against Cowboys. They're talking about Matt Cassell actually starting the next game for the Cowboys. Broncos and the Raiders was a tough enough game. Basically, the Denver offense is AWOL, and their defense, I think they got an interception score to get this, and the Raiders went just same thing as last week. My man Amari Cooper was playing, and just nothing happened for him in the second half. The Giants are another probably surprise team. They could actually be 5-0 at this stage. They gave away two awful games at the start of the year. They just seem to get by the Niners there by 3 points, but they go marching on. And the Monday night game, didn't really see too much of this. I was hoping Phillip Rivers would have a massive game to get me over Decky. He had 20 points. I needed 30 odd. Wasn't going to happen. Michael Vick, the lads won it. Basically, time expired as Le'Veon Bell scored off a wildcat with the last play of the game to get the TD and the W. They could have went for the 3 points to tie it up. But Tomlin, in fairness, put his balls on the line and went for the win, and they got it. So Pittsburgh, in fairness, you got to hand it to them. But it was actually more a game of there was a good few interceptions in that game as well. So next week matchups. So the Thursday night game, Falcons at the Saints. I'm just gonna give a quick spiel here. You'd have to say the Falcons are going to run away with this, and they look like running away with the NFC South as well. AFC South matchup. Texans, two bad teams here. Jaguars, tight end is back. Julius Thomas is back. He caught a few balls last week. I'd say Jaguars. Give the Jaguars a win here. Dolphins, we haven't seen too much of them now yet. They're on the bye last week. We'll see how their new management team works out. I think the Titans will topple the Dolphins unless there's a complete kind of bounce back ability scenario, whatever, with the new team, with the new brush. So the Broncos are at the Browns. You would think that the Broncos are too strong for the Browns here. We'll just have to wait and see. Now this is going to be a very interesting game here. Now the Bengals at the Bills. Bills have been very up and down. Bengals, another acid test for them. Can they do the business? It's going to be a very, very interesting game. It's too close to call for me, to be honest with you. Kansas City Chiefs, as I said earlier on, Jamal Charles is injured. They seem to be falling to pieces. It seems to be a lack of leadership, and Andy Reid is not. He's not the greatest. He's obviously he's very, very solid, but he's not inspirational. And the Vikings seem to be going about their business. Adrian Peterson is going from strength to strength. One of the teams of the year so far, the Cardinals, are at the Steelers. Going to be an interesting game. Big Ben is still no sign of him returning, so I think the Cardinals are going to have got this. Divisional battle here: Redskins against the Jets. Oh, sorry, the Jets. Redskins at the Jets. So it's not a divisional battle. You would think that the Jets would have too much for the Redskins. Which Jets turns up, interesting. So the Bears are at the Lions. This is an NFC North matchup, and the Lions, this is a game that they probably really would have to win if they're going to try and salvage anything from this season. Panthers at the Seahawks, something similar. Seahawks have to win this. Panthers are going very well under Cam Newton, so we'll see what happens there. Hopefully, I'm a Seahawks fan, so I wear my heart on my sleeve. Man, Rawls had a nice game last week. Racked up a lot of points. No sign of Marshawn Lynch, and question marks are being asked: is he actually going to be around much this year? I don't know. And Jimmy Graham, signs of himself and Russell Wilson gelling in the first half, and then in the second half, as I said earlier on, just everything just came to a grinding halt. Nothing happened. Charge at the Packers. Packers go marching on and on, I suppose. Ravens at the 49ers. Two seemingly bad teams here. Whoever makes the least mistakes is going to win that one. Pats against the Colts. The Pats have just been pawning the Colts over the last few years. And I was talking to Queeve last week. I said the only team I can actually see giving the Pats a game at any stage is the Jets. You'd hope that the Jets will win their home game, and maybe anything can happen, I suppose, on a one game basis. But there's it's inevitable that the Pats are going to go very deep this year. And then here we have the NFC East divisional matchup, the Monday night game, the Giants at the Eagles. Two teams that don't really know really where they are going, how good they are. Eli is very hot or he's very cold. Eagles, they had a good win last week, but can they put another one together? I don't know. Okay, lads, that's about it. So look, unfortunately there wasn't much banter here this week. As I said again, I was just feeling a small bit under the weather, and yeah, sure. Look, we have these kind of weeks, so hopefully next week we'll get Stuart from the Cork Admirals will come down and give us some inspiration, and Queeve will be back on the scene, and the banter will be flying, hopefully. So okay, that's it. So hope you like the new graphics, the new setup, and just see share away on YouTube. The old likes are going up, the views are going up, and keep it country. Cheers, boys. Thanks.